Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so my subject is power system planning and design. Okay, we will start with this subject. Let us start with the intro first. Last semester, we already studied the subject power supply systems. In the first class, we have already discussed the single line diagram.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible properly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. Actually, multiple number of people are joining, so. Just a minute.
Ma'am, your voice is very low.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Is
we
it
can't
audible
hear
now?
you.
Is it audible now?
Now,
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's clear.
It's okay now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So the syllabus, basically in my part, the syllabus include the main components of transmission line, types of conductors, sag and tension in overhead transmission line, underground cables, legal aspects of electricity, commercial aspects of electricity, administrative aspects of electricity. Okay. The course outcomes of this part are idea of transmission line structure, conductors and insulators used, and knowledge in administrative legal aspects of electricity supply, planning and implementation and tariff structure. Okay. In transmission system, power is transmitted from generating station to the primary distribution station by using two means. One is overhead transmission line and another one is underground cables. Basically, the transmission lines are of two types. One is overhead lines and another one is underground cables. Okay. So first, let us start with overhead transmission lines. Now, in case of transmission system, we know that the voltage level.
Not properly audible, ma'am.
Oh, there
Yes,
must be some problem with the internet connection then.
ma'am, your voice is fluctuating.
Fluctuating.
Means sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. Very low.
Okay, just a minute. Maybe there is some problem with the internet connection. Okay. So, did you understand what I said so far? Hello? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So basically, what we are saying is that there are two types of transmission line. One is overhead transmission line, and another one is underground cables. Okay. Now, in case of transmission system, we know that the voltage level is very high than the generating system, because the main objective is to minimize the transmission loss. Okay. So, because of this high voltage, safety and reliability has to be the main factor. So, perfection in design for electrical parameters as well as the mechanical part is mandatory requirement for proper operation and for proper operation of overhead transmission line. Now, then, what should be the criteria for the transmission line? The transmission line should have sufficient current carrying so that the required power transfer can take place without over voltage or overheating. Okay. Next is the line losses has to be as small as possible. The separation between two conductors and clearance from the ground should be adequate so that it can cope up with the system voltage and safety. Now, as for the mechanical aspects, the line conductors and cross arms should have sufficient mechanical strength in all conditions. In all conditions means say in normal condition, okay, or if there is wind loading, speed, or say there is ice loading. So this wind loading and ice loading as well as different temperature has to be included with this condition. Now, the main components of overhead transmission lines. So the main components are first the line supports. Line supports poles and tower. We have we have seen poles and towers in many places. Okay. Next is conductor. Conductor is main part. This is required to carry the current. Okay. Then there is insulators. So insulators support the conductors. We know that in case of overhead transmission line, in case of overhead transmission line, the conductors that are used are bare conductors. Okay, so there is no insulation on the conductor. Only the insulation is used at the supporting structure. That means where the conductor is attached to the supports. At that point only the insulators are used in case of overhead transmission lines. Okay. Now next one is cross arms and clamps. So basically, cross arms and clamps are used to support the insulator. Okay. So they keep the insulator string away from the main supporting structure. Next is guys and stays. So guys and stays are basically cables that are fastened to the poles to the poles at the termination. Or we can also call this type of poles as angle pole to resist the lateral force. Okay. Beside these components, there are other items also like lightning arresters. So lightning arresters are basically used to discharge the excessive voltage that is built upon the line due to lightning. Okay. Fuses and isolating switches, they are used to isolate different part of the line. Then earth wire. Earth wire is also used to protect the line from lightning and it runs over the line. So basically, lightning arrestor is used to discharge the excessive voltage that is built upon the line, and they are basically lightning arrester is basically on the supporting structure, whereas the earth wire they run over the outermost conductor. Okay. So basically at the top there will be the earth wire, then all of the three conductors one by one. Okay. Next one is V-guard. V-guards are basically provided below the transmission line while crossing populated area and roads for safety purposes. And also there are phase plates, danger plates, and
Ma'am,
vibration
please
dampers.
repeat V-guard.
V-guards are used for safety purposes. Okay. That means they are given below the transmission line in the populated area where there is chances of touching the transmission line. So in that areas, V-guards are provided.
Okay, ma'am.
And basically, V-guard protect that or it separate the transmission line from, or you can say it protect the transmission lines. Okay. So next is line support. So line support is basically poles and towers to support all the other components. The supports for an overall overhead transmission line has to be capable of carrying the load due to conductor, insulator, and other components with different loading condition like wind flux and ice deposition. So the function of the line supports are to keep proper spacing between the conductors, to keep the conductors at prescribed distance from its grounded parts, and to maintain specified ground clearance. So there is a certain rule for ground clearance in Indian Electricity Act. Okay, so we will discuss about that later. But the specified ground clearance has to be maintained in all conditions. So this is one of the main function of the line support. So these functions are to be performed to facilitate the flow of power through conductor from one point to another with reliability, security, and safety. So the characteristics of line supports are low initial cost, lightweight. So lightweight is basically for transport purpose. Okay. If if the poles are heavy, then obviously the transport cost will be high. Then high mechanical strength, low maintenance expenses, long life, and erection of conductors should be easy. Now, for all of these characteristics, there are different types of supports are seen. So the main, the various types of supports are wooden poles, reinforced concrete poles, tubular steel poles, and steel towers. So these four types of line supports are seen so far. Here is the picture of wooden poles. So these two are basically the wooden poles. Just a minute. These two are the wooden poles, and these two are the concrete poles. Okay. So the wooden poles are, we know that wood is very cheap and easily available. So wooden poles are cheapest and simplest of all type of poles, but they are useful up to a specific span length. Okay. So span length means the distance between two adjacent poles. Okay, that is called span length. So in case of wood, as the mechanical strength of wood is lower than the other type of poles, the span length should not be more than 60 meters in case of wooden poles. So the wooden poles have limitations of height and diameter also. We know that wood is natural insulator, so therefore the lesser flashovers are likely to occur in case of wooden poles during the during lightning. Okay. Now, to increase the mechanical strength, we know that the mechanical, we already said that the mechanical strength of wooden poles are less. So, to increase the mechanical strength, these A-type and H-type structures are used in case of wooden poles. Okay. So, this one is from this picture, we can see that this one is A-type pole and this is H-type pole. Now, metallic caps are provided at the top of the poles here to protect them from decaying. The drawback of this wooden poles is that the lifespan is unpredictable. Okay, insects and birds can damage such type of poles, and also they have tendency to rot at the ground level. So next one is concrete pole, reinforced concrete pole. They have better mechanical strength and longer life. Mechanical strength and is higher, and also they have longer life. The maintenance cost in case of concrete pole is low, and these type of poles are cut on site so to avoid high transportation cost. We know that concrete poles are very heavy in nature. Okay, so obviously transportation cost will be much higher in case of this concrete pole. Okay, so that is why they are erect at the site only. Now, drawback of this concrete pole is that we know that concrete is brittle in nature. So, these type of poles, they are liable to damage during handling and erection work. Okay, now this is a picture of a steel pole. So, previously, these wooden poles were used extensively, but nowadays these type of poles are not seen as many as before. They are mainly replaced by these steel poles because of their unpredictable nature of lifespan. Okay, so steel poles are substitute of these wooden poles, and they are enabled. They are able to withstand a longer span. Okay. So nowadays these steel poles are more favored in developed localities and roadside areas, because in these type of areas the base requirement is an important factor. Now, if we see the wooden pole, two legs are used, so border space is should be required. Okay, because of two legs, but in case of steel pole, the mechanical strength is higher in case of steel pole, so only one leg is enough. So obviously the base requirement will be lesser in this case. Okay, so for this reason they are used more in the developed localities and roadside areas. These poles needs to be galvanized to protect from the corrosion. We know that steel is more prone to corrosion, so this may shorten the life of the pole. So that is why protection against the corrosion is required. So galvanization and painting on regular basis has to be done to protect this type of pole. So the only drawback or the main drawback of this steel poles are that the maintenance cost in this case is higher. Okay. So these type of poles are mainly used in case of low and medium tension distribution network. As for the high voltage and extra high voltage lines, mainly supporting structures are used. Okay. So the supporting towers are used. So supporting towers are basically used above voltage level 33 kV and with long distances. They can also withstand a longer span length. Okay. For HV and EHV lines, the spacing between two conductors and also the ground clearance should be more than the distribution network. Okay. So the conductor, as the voltage increases, the conductor weight is also increases. Okay. So because of these factors, poles are not suitable for these types of lines. Okay, for transmission lines. So in these cases, supporting towers are used because the towers have high mechanical loading as well as longer span. Now, if we see the cost, even though towers are costlier than the poles, but if we consider the span length and the and height of the supports, then it will easily be said that they are more economical than using poles in case of these high voltage lines. Okay. So the design of towers involve cost of material, weight, erection facility, availability of space and land area, cost of foundation work, ground clearance requirement. Now these are some pictures of towers. So first one is a narrow base single circuit used for 33 kV. Okay, so this is the structure, the mechanical structure. This is a lattice structure, so it depends on the mechanical strength required. Okay, so this is a 33 kV narrow base. Now, and also single circuit. Actually, the number of conductors that is used is, see, in case of a three-phase circuit, the number of conductors it carries is 3. So from this picture, we can see that the conductor configuration is really asymmetrical. 2 in one side and another in one side. So this type of configuration is called triangular configuration. Okay. And the next one is broad base single circuit. So this is almost same. This is also used for 33 kV and 66 kV lines. Okay, so sorry. So okay, so basically this broad base structure and narrow base structure, they can be used depending on how much mechanical strength is needed. Okay, so next one is again broad base and used for 66 kV or 132 kV lines, and this is a double circuit line. Okay, so basically for a three-phase system, the number of conductors are 6. Okay, now one thing, let me tell you that here only conductors are shown. Okay, but I said in the main components that one earth wire is also present there. Okay, so that is not shown here, but earth wire should also be here. Okay. So basically, along with these three, another one is also present. That is, earth wire is also present. But when not comparing it. So we are only discussing about the conductors. So in case of double circuit, number of conductors is 6. So this configuration, you can see that in one side 3 conductors are there, and another side another 3 conductors are there. So this configuration is called vertical configuration of the conductor. Okay, and next one is broad base single circuit. So this type of towers are used for 220 kV and 400 kV lines, and the conductor configuration is horizontal. Okay, only one circuit is present. The 3 phases are in. The 3 conductors are in horizontal line. Okay, so this type of towers you may have seen. Next one is broad base multiple conductor circuit. So basically, with one insulator string, multiple number of conductors are connected here. Okay, so this is also a vertical. This is also a horizontal conductor configuration. Okay, next one is guide V-type tower. So guide V-type tower and this guide H-type tower, they are mainly used for 765 kV voltage. Okay. Now in India, 765 kV lines are not very common, but they are present. So this type of towers are used in case of 765 kV voltages. Now in case of this guy wire, so these two are the guy wire. Here these are the guy wires. So guy wires are used to keep the pole or keep the tower straight. Okay. So they are for the supporting purposes. They are used for the supporting purpose. So this structure is called V-type structure and this is called H-type structure. Okay. Now recently, these chain structure are also used in case of EHV lines. So basically here, 2 lattice steel or aluminum legs are on this or on this hinge foundation, and they are basically supported with a system of wires or guides. Okay. Now the difference between this chained structure and the V structure is that in case of if you see the V structure, the foundation that is used is single foundation. Okay, but here in case of chained structure, two legs are apart from each other, so the foundations are used. They are separate from each other. Okay, now in case of chained structure, the overall width and height of the components are higher than the other structure, so they can also be used for higher voltages. Okay, so if we see all these pictures, we can see that different types of towers, different types of conductor configurations are used. Okay, now depending on these towers can be classified into different types. Depending on the support system, the tower can be either self-supporting tower or they can be guide structure. So in this picture, there are many structures that are self-supporting and many are there guide or shade. So these two types of structures are there. Now, depending on the design of the tower, they can be narrow base or broad base, and depending on their use, they can be either tension towers or angle or deviation. Okay, tension towers and deviation powers. So depending on the circuit configuration, they can be either single circuit or double circuit. And depending on the conductor configuration, কি বলেছিলাম? No, they can be either triangular or vertical or horizontal configuration. Okay. সবাই আছে তো? Okay, next is tower configurations. So the configuration of transmission line towers depend on the length of the insulator assembly, the minimum clearance to be maintained between conductors and between the conductor and tower, the location of the ground wire or wires with respect to the outer most conductor, the mid span clearance required for considerations of dynamic behavior of conductors and lightning protection of the line. Sorry. The minimum clearance of the lower conductor above ground level. Depending upon the requirement of transmission system, various line configuration have to be considered, ranging from single circuit horizontal to double circuit vertical structure with single or V string in all phase, as well as any combination of these. So V basically single or V string mean they depends on the insulator string. So here it is shown already. You see the conductor, this round thing is a conductor. So this conductor is basically supported by using the insulator string. Okay. Now this insulator string either can be a single string like this, or it can be V string. So basically V strings means this one. Okay, two insulator strings are connected in V shape and the conductor is supported by it. Okay, so basically V string can be used in some cases where the conductors are in vertical position, so that the swing due to the wind is less in case of V strings. Okay, so these two types are also present depending on the insulator string, but we will discuss about it later. Okay, so there is another chapter for insulator, so there we will discuss about single and V strings in detail. Okay, so the types of supports that we just talked about. Narrow base tower requires lesser steel or aluminium in comparison with a wide base tower, but its cost of foundation is more. Okay, the selection between the two is to be made on the basis of cost of material, foundations, and right of way requirement. Right of way means, right of way is basically the legally granted free space that may be leased or purchased when constructing the overhead transmission line. Basically transmission line যখন রান করছে তার জন্য যে ফ্রি স্পেসটা আমার বা গ্রাউন্ডে যে স্পেসটা আমার দরকার, যে স্পেসটা কিনতে হবে, that space is called right of way. Okay, আমি তো কারোর বাড়ির ছাদের উপর দিয়ে ট্রান্সমিশন লাইন পাঠিয়ে দিতে পারবো না। তো ট্রান্সমিশন লাইন যে কোনো একটা পার্টিকুলার স্পেসের থ্রু দিয়ে যখন ট্রান্সমিশন লাইনটা যাবে, তার জন্য আমাকে কিছুটা গ্রাউন্ড কিনে রাখতে হবে, তাই তো? সো দিস ইজ দ্য রাইট অফ ওয়ে। Okay, so next is tangent tower and deviation tower. So tangent tower is basically this type of deviation towers are named depending on how they are used. So tangent towers are used for straight run of the line. Okay, so they can have square base or rectangular base, and they employ suspension insulator. Suspension insulator is this type of insulator. That means the insulator string is basically in vertical position. Okay, they are hanged vertically, and angle or deviation towers are used at points where transmission line changes the direction. So they have broader base, because obviously when they are changing the angle, there will be some forces. Okay, so that is why border base is required, and they employ strain insulator. So the difference between suspension insulator and strain insulator is that both of them are insulator string, but the suspension insulators are hanged vertically, whereas the strain insulators are like this, in they are horizontal. Okay, so this is also explained later in insulator part. Okay, next is single circuit and double circuit. So single circuit transmission line carries conductors for only one circuit. Okay, so for an example, if we take a three-phase system, this implies that each tower supports only 3 conductors. So this can be either triangular configuration or horizontal configuration. In case of double circuit, the tower carries 2 sets of circuits. That means if 2 circuits, that means if we take a 3-phase system, then number of conductor is 6. Okay. So usually both circuit operate at the same voltage level. Just a minute. I'll mute myself for a minute. Hello. Can you wait 5 minutes? I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
আচ্ছা, সরি ওয়েট করতে হলো। কি বলছিলাম? Double circuit. So double circuit basically means that in case of a 3-phase system, each tower supports 6 conductors. Okay, and the voltage level in both circuit are same. Now, in case of double circuit, they are usually vertical configuration. Because we can see that in this case, if we use horizontal configuration, then right of way requirement will be huge. Okay. So that is why the vertical configurations are used in case of double circuit. So this is a typical transmission line. So these are the cross arms. Okay. Conductors, insulator string. Then there is earth wire. So these are the earth wires. Also dampers are shown. Dampers আমরা পরে পড়বো. And spacers are there. Spacer basically is used if there is multiple circuit, okay, with one insulator string. So in this cases, the spacers are used. Basically, the spacer কাজ কি না, স্পেসার বেসিক্যালি দুটো কন্ডাক্টরের মাঝখানে গ্যাপটা যাতে কনস্ট্যান্ট থাকে, দ্যাট ইজ ওয়াই দে আর ইউজড। ওকে, configuration of conductors. There are three common configuration. Kiki, we already discussed about this. So Kiki configuration: horizontal, vertical, and triangular. Generally, vertical configuration is preferred for the double circuit line. Vertical configuration in narrower right of way than horizontal configuration. But in case of vertical configuration, the problem is that it need higher power and is more prone to lightning hazard. Okay. The conductors of transmission line are subjected to a variety of motions caused by the wind. So these are basically there are basically three types of vibration that may occur in a over a transmission line: aeolian vibration or resonant vibration, then galloping, and another one is dancing or slit jump. Eta or hobe dancing or slit jump. So these three types of vibrations are may occur in over a transmission line. Unless controlled, this vibration may produce damage to the conductor as well as other elements of the system, thus reducing the reliability of the system. Okay, so what are these type of, or how they occur? So first, aeolian vibration or resonant vibration. Both of them are same. Now, resonant vibration is a common phenomenon under smooth wind condition. So resonant vibration arises from the eddies produced behind the conductor by action of low velocity wind. So basically, it is same as if we say there is water stream is flowing. Okay, now if we keep a rock inside the water stream, we will see that it is formed. Okay, so this is same as that. The wind is basically here act like the water stream, and the conductor act like the rock. So due to this formation of eddies, the velocity of the wind in the side toward and away from the conductor are unequal. Okay, so basically, when this we say the wind is flowing, okay, now there is one conductor in its path. So the wind basically hit here, and in the opposite side here, eddies will be formed. Now, due to these eddies, the velocity of the wind is different in this side and this side. Okay, so this is how the eddies will be formed. Now, this unequal velocities also will result in unequal pressure here. So the air from the lower velocity side, so কি হবে না, the air from the lower velocity or higher pressure side will come to fill the gap here. Okay, so say the lower velocity side or the higher pressure side is downward. So that means from here the air will flow to the void. Okay, so when the air will flow from here to here, it will exert some force on the conductor. Okay, so that means the conductor will move in the upward direction. Now when this conductor move in the upward direction, so here one gap will be created. So that means now to fill up this gap, the air from the higher velocity side will come. Okay, so again this air will exert some force on the conductor. So again the conductor will move in the downward direction. So if this happens in a cycle, then obviously this upward and downward direction movement in the conductor will cause the oscillation. Okay, now when the frequency of frequency of AD coincide with the natural frequency of the conductor, then resonance vibration will occur. Okay, so this is how this Aeolian vibration or resonant vibration occurs. But basically it is a natural phenomenon, because wind will always flow. Maybe sometimes the velocity is higher, sometimes the velocity is lower, but the wind will flow. So obviously this Aeolian vibration will occur at any time. Okay, so this type of vibration are in the vertical plane and have higher frequency and low amplitude. Okay, this vibration is mainly caused at the low velocity of wind, that is 3 to 25 kilometer per hour. Now the maximum amplitude in case of Aeolian vibration is 25 millimeter, and the frequency in this case ranges from 5 to 100 hertz. Okay, so what are the effects of this Aeolian vibration? This Aeolian vibration, the existence of this Aeolian vibration does not necessarily constitute any problem. Okay, however, if the magnitude of the vibration is say high, then the damage, then some damage may occur over a period of time. Okay, which damage होता है? One is abrasion and another one is fatigue failure. So they are main effect of Aeolian vibration. Abrasion is the wearing away of the surface of the conductor. They are generally associated with loose connection between conductor and the attachment hardware. Whereas fatigue failures are the direct result of bending of a material back and forth for a sufficient amount of time over a sufficient number of cycles. So in case of Aeolian vibration, the maximum bending stress occur at the location where the conductor is restrained from movement. That means the conductor is attached with something. Okay, so the level of restraint and therefore bending stresses are higher at opposite structures. So when this bending stresses in a conductor exceeds the endurance limit, then the fatigue failure will occur. Next one is galloping. So galloping, basically this type of vibration occurs in non-circular cross section of a conductor. Okay, so non-circular conductor, normally the conductor is circular in nature. So non-circular open, it will take the non-circular form due to the uneven coating of ice on its surface. So if there is ice floating, basically ice will the thickness of the ice will be much higher on the upper side of the conductor than the lower side. So then a non-uniform cross section or non-circular cross section will be formed. Low frequency and large amplitude oscillation of conductor is called galloping. So basically, in case of galloping, the frequency is lower, but the amplitude is higher. Okay, so this galloping is a rare condition. They are generally observed for wind speed of 15 to 75 kilometer per hour, and the frequency is very low. That is, the frequency in case of galloping ranges from 1/4 hertz to 1.5 hertz. Okay, that means 0.25 to 1.5 hertz. Due to this galloping, abnormal spaces may be produced at the point of attachment to damage the conductors and fittings. And another one is that as the amplitude is larger in this case, it may introduce the possibility of contact between the two conductors or between the conductor and the earth wire, that the supply may be interrupted. Okay. Okay, next one is dancing or slip jump. Now, when the ice falls from the conductor, it throws the conductor into a violent oscillation from large period and long amplitude. So the oscillations, this type of oscillations die out quickly if the end of the span are dead ended, or else it will be transmitted to the next span to a considerable distance of line. So here also large amplitude. In case of dancing or slip jump, also the amplitude is large. So this may result in contact between the conductors and to the earth wire. Okay, so these are the different types of conductors. So to prevent the different types of vibration, to prevent this type of vibration, some measures are taken. So there are two types of prevention methods are there. One is using armor rod, and another one is using shock bridge damper. Okay. So এই দুটো আমরা নেক্সট ক্লাসে পড়বো, প্রিভেনশন অফ ভাইব্রেশনটা নেক্সট ক্লাসে পড়বো। সো আজকের মতো এটাই থাক।
ওকে ম্যাম।
আচ্ছা, এই অবধি বুঝতে পেরেছো, শুনতে পেয়েছিলে?
মাঝে মাঝে ফ্ল্যাকচুয়েট হচ্ছে।
বাবা, এই নেট কানেকশনের জন্য আমি বুঝতে পারছি না কেন হচ্ছে। আগের দিন বি সেকশনের নিলাম, ওরা তো মনে হয় সেরকম। বি সেকশনের কেউ আছো?
ইয়েস ম্যাম।
আগের দিন অসুবিধা হয়েছিল?
নেই ম্যাম।
তাহলে আজকে মনে হয় নেটের গন্ডগোলের জন্য এরকম হচ্ছে, বুঝলে?
ম্যাম আপনার স্পিকারটাতেও কিছু প্রবলেম হতে পারে।
কিন্তু না, আগের দিন মানে এই ল্যাপটপ থেকেই নিয়েছিলাম, তো আগের দিন তো সেরকম কিছু প্রবলেম হয়নি। আগের দিন মানে অন্য সেকশনে আর কি, বি সেকশনে। আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, দেখা যাক নেক্সট দিন দেখি কি, যদি অসুবিধে আবার সেই সেম প্রবলেম হয় তাহলে অন্য কোনো মেথড দেখতে হবে। আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, তাহলে আজকে আপাতত এটাই থাক। নেক্সট আমি তোমাদের টিউসডে করে নিলে অসুবিধা হবে ক্লাস? হ্যালো, হ্যালো।
Yes, ma'am.
হ্যাঁ বলছি Tuesday করে ফর্ম দিলে অসুবিধা হবে?
No, ma'am.
আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ টিউসডে এই টাইমেই তাহলে নেব আমি।
Ma'am, CR will discuss and tell you later.
ওকে 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 নো প্রবলেম। ওকে থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
বাই।
Bye.